Okay, so I had to come back on here and re-record this video because there was a lot of sound that was coming through on the other end. It was music, and one of my subscribers had told me about it, and I listened to it. I said, yeah, I have to delete this and re-record it. No, YouTube did not take down the video. I took it down on myself and decided to re-record it because I could have just taken it down and not put it back up, but I said I wanted this to be a story that was getting out there because it wasn't making enough traction. So that's the reason why that other video was removed. So now I'm about to re-record the video. So those of you who have already watched it by now, it was only up for like 30 minutes, so it wasn't up for a long time. But let's get back into it and start this over again. So this story is about a man by the name of Craig Chapman, who you can see right here on your screen, and he was a New Hampshire professor until most recently when he got fired after he posed as what they say is a woman of color, but I believe it was a black woman, and I think multiple black women at that, on Twitter. So basically he had a lot of troll accounts and I think a lot of burner accounts, and he was just going around trolling people, and I think the people that he was trolling were his co-workers. So let's get into it. A white male professor from the University of New Hampshire has been booted from the classroom for posing as a woman of color, quote unquote, the latest in a growing trend of race fakers. Craig Chapman allegedly secretly tweeted under the name of the science femme and handle @piney_the to rail against the left, transgender, and even people of color to his more than 13,000 followers. In one post on June 30th, the science femme, who purported to be a professor, tweeted, "I was successful in killing my department's woke statement on recent social unrest, calling it a toxic ideology that cannot be given an inch." According to the student paper, The New Hampshire, the account boasted removing all woke terminology from the statement, including anti-racism, white supremacy, white privilege, and claims of systemic racism. The science femme's account, as well as Chapman's personal account, have since been deleted. But screenshots show the science femme repeatedly responded, "I'm a woman of color," in counter arguments online, including in September when one user accused the science femme of attacking people of color. The Daily Beast reported, "You know I'm a woman of color, right? Racist," the bogus account replied. In other posts, the science femme claimed to be an immigrant woman of color who grew up in poverty, sleeping on a dirt floor. The account also targeted real women working in science, users told the Daily Beast. Chapman, who teaches chemistry at UNH, blew up his secret identity on Twitter with a tweet about his brother's brewery, Pinelands Brewing, in New Jersey, which was posted on both the science femme and his personal account. So his own dumbassery is what got him exposed. But look at how many followers he gained. 13,000 under this burner account. He also posted the same photo of several coffee makers on both accounts with nearly the same caption, "Twitter sleuths notice." See, he got carried away. He wasn't thinking at that point. UNH told the Daily Beast that it was probing the bizarre incident. UNH was recently made aware of allegations on social media about a member of its faculty, a spokesperson told the outlet. "We are deeply troubled by what we've learned so far and immediately launched an investigation. The employee at the center of allegations on social media is on leave and not in the classroom. In order to protect the integrity of the ongoing investigation, the university is unable to comment further." Chapman did not return multiple requests for comment from the Daily Beast. He is the latest in a series of white people, including academics, who have faked their race. Last month, Black Lives Matter organization Satchel Cole, who was white, admitted she'd been pretending to be black for years and promised to seek help. Jessica Krug, a George Washington University professor of African American Studies, also recently confessed her whiteness after posing as a black woman for years. And C.V. Vitolo Haddad, a grad student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, stepped down from her teaching position after it emerged that she falsely posed as black and Latino. And all of the ones that they just gave an example of happened within the last month to a month and a half, because I think it began like towards the end of August and throughout September, and now you have this guy whose story came out like a week ago. And this guy, as you can see, is a PC male who posed as a black woman or as a quote unquote woman of color, and then started just tweeting away from burner accounts and exposed himself when he started tweeting the same thing from his personal account. See, what the thing is, he probably got so wrapped up in it, so caught up in it, that he didn't know which account was real, which means psychologically, he started to actually believe he was this person he made up in his head for this online account. This guy was basically doing virtual blackface. And this doesn't surprise me because I think about a few years ago, you had these white supremacist websites talking about, we're going to study how black people move on social media. We're going to go online and we're going to find these pictures of these random black people. We're going to make them our avatars, and we're going to look at how they talk and how they move on social media and talk and act as them. But see, like, this guy got caught because he got his personal account and his burner account mixed up when he started to tweet the same things from both accounts, and people was like, wait, why is this guy tweeting the same thing from this account and the same thing from that account? If you are a quote unquote woman of color, why are you talking about your brother's brewery place in New Jersey and your brother is quote unquote white and you are a quote unquote woman of color? Something's not adding up. So that's how he slipped up on his own Twitter fingers, so to speak, which is why he got caught. He exposed himself. No one, he gave himself away. He gave himself away, and everyone else who caught onto it just took it and put it out there for everyone to see. But he should definitely be brought up on charges because, you know, impersonating, perpetrating a fraud, and then causing all kinds of drama on social media with other people just to say that you're doing that. Like, that's crazy. But these individuals like this have no lives. And this guy's was a professor. Now I'm looking on here. I want to see, did they say anything about him being fired? Because I don't see anything about him being fired. It just says that he posed as that. If he got fired, good. He doesn't need to be hired anywhere else. If he is still working, and based on what I'm reading, because they're talking about it in present tense as if he's still there, he needs to be removed. He has proven that he is a problematic person, and he does not deserve to be working in any type of environment like that, especially if there are quote unquote women of color who work around him. He pretty much tainted his own reputation, and not just those who work around him, but also those who he teaches in his class. He could have been going back and forth with some of his students on Twitter, or back and forth with some of his coworkers on Twitter, because they didn't specify who he was going back and forth with. They just said they were women of color. They didn't, that was involved in science. And since he was teaching in science, it could have been his students, it could have been faculty members, or anyone else that he felt like going after at that time. But for a guy who was or is a professor at this school teaching what he teaches, he sure had a lot of time on his hands to do what he did. Y'all let me know what you think about this down in the comments.